you say, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. My name is Nick, and I am joined, as always, with Keelan. Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Can't complain. It's Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, holiday. I don't know what day of the week it is, but I can say it is a good day.
That's good. Yeah, it is a Monday. We
Yeah,
took
see.
yesterday off because I am still recovering from the cooties and spent too much time cleaning the house yesterday. So I got real tired and had to postpone. So we're here tonight. Normally here Sunday and Wednesday for you at 8:30 to 9 p.m. But tonight we're making an exception, and we are going to be talking about an exceptional film called The War of the Worlds, The Attack, which came out April 21st of this year, and it was just recently added to Hulu. This is I guess you could call it like an add-on to the original War of the Worlds.
Like a bonus episode.
Pretty much. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's like a bonus episode to War of the Worlds. Although I don't know how much of a bonus it is indeed, but uh, that'll be the conversation
Yeah,
tonight. So
yeah.
this one, again, came out April 21st, 2023. It's directed by Junaid Sayed. It's written by Junaid Sayed and Tom Jolliffe. And it stars Sam Gittins, Leo Starr, and Vincent Reagan, as well as Laura Lemon and a couple other people. Oh, Alhaji Fofana. And I think that's most of the people. There are some ancillary characters that we'll probably talk about as we go along. But if you guys are not familiar, this is again a bonus episode to the War of the Worlds saga, and it takes place in England. And yeah, I don't know if I need to give any more explanation. Keelan, you went dark. You all right?
Oh yeah, I'm good. Can you still hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Anyways, yeah, so it's just it's kind of like an anthology edition or something like that. If you know the Tom Cruise movie, you're probably familiar with the idea, but these mechanistic tripod Martians come to Earth and they wreak all types of chaos and havoc, and they attack Earth, and the drama ensues from that. And so let's see, the tagline for this, the synopsis, is the adventures of three young astronomers and their fight to survive a deadly Martian invasion. I think I've given enough preamble to this. This was just recently added to Hulu, so if you're interested in watching this, maybe a spoiler warning is in order. We're going to be talking about the whole thing and very much spoiling it. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and watch it and then come back. Or you could just watch this and it might be a little bit more entertaining if I'm being honest.
I,
So,
I want to I want to be nice and say it's just a general warning.
mm,
Uh,
just a general warning. Good. Yeah, I like
yeah.
that. Yeah, just stay away. Keelan, what are your first impressions of this, man?
Tui. My
Tui.
my first impressions of this movie. I wasn't sure what to expect because I didn't see the original War of the Worlds, or I didn't see the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds. However, I remember that era of movies. I remember the wave of alien films that were mysterious. If I remember correctly, even through the trailers, War of the Worlds was probably the most descript of what their foreign invaders looked like at the time, and it was just the tripod.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but outside of that, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect Tom Cruise esque or that level of movie, but without seeing the first one, I don't remember the reviews for the first one being, very Tom Cruise movie esque. So I expect this to be kind of what it turned into for me. B roll, C rated type movie. Um, Nothing too captivating. I don't even think it was. I think there was one interesting concept to this entire movie, which most BC rated movies, they'll have one good takeaway where you'll be like, oh, okay, well, that one thing they did is something to think on and ponder on. But it hit all of that. Outside of that, this movie was terrible. Uh,
Yeah.
and if you watch this channel, I'm not usually the one to leave something off saying it's terrible.
That might
But
be a
I
first. Actually.
say it again.
That might be a screen time continuum first.
It might be. This is probably the third film since we started doing screen time in general that I actually fell asleep on. But it's for sure the first one I fell asleep on more than once.
Wow, it's also one of the shortest movies that
It's
we've
not that
reviewed.
long.
No.
And I watched it midday. So midday,
Mm.
I nodded out more than once. And it's I don't is it an hour and a half? It's right at an hour and a
Hour
half,
and
right?
20 minutes.
Yeah, it's right at an hour
Y-
and a half.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not saying that to add shit, like to add poo to the movie that to bring it down even further. I'm saying that because I didn't expect that. I expected to at least be it's an alien film. It's an invasion flick. So
Well, that's okay
um,
because there are many characters in this movie that take a nap during the movie,
this
during an
is true.
alien invasion. So
This is true.
maybe you're just maybe you're just following suit.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I saw. I knew what was coming.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. I can't say I hated the concept, but I kind of hated the movie.
Hmm.
And again, I'm not usually the one to just chuck the spear straight into the heart of something from the gate, but
Right.
this brought me down. This
Oh
brought me
man,
down.
put you in a bad mood, huh? All right.
Right, but I will add this to my first thought. Excuse me. I get the impression that people who filmed this, like the actors and stuff, and I see this in some films, even when I think it's a bad film or a bad flick. I feel like they had so much damn fun shooting this. Like
Yeah.
they look like they genuinely were just hanging out. And yeah, outside of that though, it's that's where the conflict comes for me, is it looks like they actually enjoyed doing this, but as far as like a product, I don't have anything for it.
Leaves a lot to be desired, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, man, I agree with you. You know what's interesting is that whoever cut the trailer up for this movie did an excellent job
Yes.
because the trailer is what hooked me, and I thought to myself, "Oh, okay, well, it looks kind of cheesy, but
Mhm.
you know, it looks like there's a lot of action and should be fun." And it's only an hour and 20 minutes long. Who cares, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I found myself at the midway point going, "Oh my god, how much longer is there to this movie?" And that's never a good sign if you know, movie's only an hour and 20 minutes long. Like you don't want to be dragging like that, but it definitely does that.
Yeah.
So first impressions for me was, yeah, this movie is kind of a mess. It's kind of almost like, did you have to do this to retain the IP? You know what I mean? Like
Maybe.
it kind of felt like that a little bit to me. Like, why would you
Maybe.
push this out just to have a War of the Worlds franchise movie out? I guess
Yeah.
maybe. Um, but I found a lot of things kind of funny about it, not intentionally. This movie follows the characters of Hannah, Augie, and Herbert.
Mhm.
And they're supposed to be okay. So there are three of them, and they range between either
Strangers.
either 15 years old or 30 years old. I can't tell because they ride around on bikes like the Stranger
Yes.
Things kids, but they
Yeah.
also have jobs, but nobody
Yeah.
has a car.
And
And
they are students at the college because the professor is who that knows them.
but they're like post grad students, like, you know,
Yeah.
like upper, you know, like in
Yeah.
your
They're
fourth and fifth year of college.
they're post grad students, and all of them seem very physically underdeveloped, and they don't have places of their own, which that part is acceptable. The part that I thought was kind of unacceptable, it seemed as if the only person that had somewhere to go was Herbert.
Right. That's true. Yes, for some reason, because the other kids' families didn't matter.
Mm-mm.
Well,
And
actually, to be
Herbert's mother,
yeah,
her name was Ellie. She wasn't mom.
right. Well, and you know, Augie's parents were in Mallorca, so I guess that's far
Right.
enough away for them not to be a problem. But yeah, so there's three students. They're all a part of the ULC or something. What was that? What it was
I
called?
missed that part. Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't catch it either. But they're a part of this space program or this astronomy program at a college in looks like kind of like rural England. Um,
Yeah.
and they are tracking a meteorite. a meteorite falls to Earth, and it's in the middle of the night. They're on their Stranger Things kids' bikes, and they're pedaling at the age of 26 years old. Nobody's got a car between the three of them for some reason. And they're looking for this meteor, but they can't find it because their GPS goes down in the middle of the woods. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, what?
Duh.
Yeah, exactly. So they
Oh,
give
wait,
up.
Did you catch where they had to go and charge their GPS?
Where did they go charge it? Back home?
How do you charge a GPS? Don't you charge the phone?
Good question. Yes, yes. Oh, you know what? They were probably using one of those Garmin's. Maybe that's what it was. They were using like one of those, like before the phones actually had GPS, you'd have one of
Oh, I
those
get you.
things. Maybe that's what they were using, which would make it, I guess, more sense. But they were tracking this fallen asteroid, they think, and they want to study it because they're astronomers for the university. And
But what
they're
tools?
with what? No tools at all, on their bicycles. And apparently the professor sent them to go check it out.
The professor who had military connections and seemed more like,
Yes.
I don't know, like she worked for Shield or somebody,
Right.
Rand
The
Corporation.
CIA, something, MI6.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the middle of the night and they can't find the meteor. So they're like, you know what? Let's forget this. Let's go home. And let's go charge our stuff, and we'll tackle it in the morning. Don't worry about it. The meteor will still be there. So they go back to Herbert's house, apparently,
Yes.
because the other kids don't have homes there.
Herbie.
Yes. All very English names, interestingly. And
I just like how Herbert, sorry not to cut you off.
No,
your time already.
No,
but
good.
I do like how Herbert had like the most nicknames: Herb, Herbie, Herbert. Well, it was something else. His mom called him something else too.
Yeah.
Ogilvy was just Ogilvy and Augie. Oh,
yes.
and Oggs.
Oggs, yes.
Hannah had the loose.
Hannah had just
Hannah.
Or if you're the priest, the weaker sex.
Correct.
We'll get to that. So they get back home to Herbert's house. They all go to sleep because there's no sense to urgency here. They need to charge up their stuff anyways. And for some reason, Ogilvy is sleeping in Herbert's childhood room.
Yeah.
And they decide.
I'm wondering where Herbert's sleeping.
I know. Where's the girl sleeping? I don't know. But that really doesn't matter because they wake up and the mom is making breakfast. And then we find out that there's a little bit of character coloring here for Herbie. His father had died, and the only real connection he ever had to him was this telescope. And he's still very... Huh?
Sorry. I was going to say later on, though, he's going to tell us like 4 stories about his dad that he didn't have a connection to.
That's true. That's very true. Yes. He states at the beginning of the movie the only connection he had to his father was the telescope. But then you're right. Yes, he does proceed to tell us 3 or 4 different stories about how his dad was super encouraging when he was a child. So I don't think he can make up his mind about that. But it seems to be that maybe Herbert's father has just recently passed. I think
it was like a year, no?
Yeah, maybe a year. And so he's still giving his mom guff, and she makes the flattest pancakes I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't even think you could call those pancakes. I think they were crepes. But
she got those from they made those at catering.
Bro, they had no fluff at all. They were just like literally just like thin tortilla.
Yeah, they had catering make them for prop, and they couldn't,
right?
That
was craft service. Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, no. You know what? I just thought that couldn't be craft service because craft service would have to throw it away at the end of every day.
That's true. So
that was just a prop in general.
Yeah. So they're all having pancakes, and then Herbie's mother tells them that she heard on the TV that there was an asteroid landing, and they all freak out because, oh no, we thought we could just sleep on it and that people wouldn't find out about an asteroid landing.
My question is, why are they so high strung that the military got there first? Huh?
Of course they did.
Name it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. That would have been better if they had been like, no, I want to be the one that names it, or something.
That's the only reason I figured they could be rushing there.
Maybe. But it doesn't even matter because the professor that tasked them with it is already working for the military. So
right.
It's not like they beat them there. It's like they're all working together.
Right. They're
So
they're the ones working for free. That's all.
yeah, for some reason, again, these kids
Mhm.
have no instruments. They present no knowledge of astronomy,
Mm-mm.
but
Except
they're
for pure interest in irritating each other about it.
yes. So they go to the crash site, which they can find now because there's a crowd of people that have that have come to the crash site, and right from the get go, you can easily see that this is not an asteroid. These are these weird spheres that are quite large. They look like maybe
Mhm.
they're, I'd say, like 50 feet in
Yeah, they're huge.
diameter.
Yeah,
Like not huge, but not small. Something that
not
if
the
it
size
was,
of.
yeah,
Yeah, they barely be the size of a building, a
right.
small building.
A small, like a house almost.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if those things were falling at terminal velocity, the entirety of England would be wiped out. So um, it's obviously not a meteorite, but we find out that they're pods. They're
Yeah.
pods. And this is because the kids are also given access to the meteorite by the military for no reason, really. Well, they just
No, they
go,
weren't.
they
They snuck
cross the
back there.
line. They snuck back there, right?
Yeah, remember they went around back.
Yes. Oh,
Wherever
yes.
the hell that meant.
Where
Quick
nobody
sneak
was
around
looking.
back.
Yes.
Back of what? You know what? I can't do this with y'all. I can't.
Because that's what perimeter means. It means you only block off one part of it.
Yeah, of this alien foreign technology thing that we're afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah. So they get up close and personal with this pod, and it's searing hot to the touch. Augie touches it and he burns his hand really dramatically.
Yeah.
Um, but then we find out that the pod starts to open and we see that there's a tripod inside. And the tripod doesn't come out immediately. They get caught and then they get taken back behind the line. And then that's when we start to see the aliens, which are like, I would say, 300-foot tall
Right.
tripods that
Right.
fit in these little spheres. They're very efficient because
Yeah.
they're gigantic, and
They're
apparently
walking
they could
roller
just
coasters.
yeah, they are walking roller coasters. Yeah, and they're absolutely gigantic, but they can fit in these tiny little pods. So efficiency for you. It comes out of the pod and it starts to lumber over the area, and it just
Kills indiscriminately.
indiscriminately incinerates people with their pew pews, which I absolutely love the sound design on that because
Yeah.
it's just a slinky.
Mhm.
If you shake a slinky and you hear that like metally sound, that's exactly the sound of these tripods lasers. Yeah.
That's funny.
So they just start indiscriminately killing. There's chaos. Everybody's running to escape. And, as anybody would do, the kids decide they're going to go back home
Yep.
and put a cup of tea on. After witnessing the first alien contact and it destroying a whole bunch of people.
I mean, what would you do? Wouldn't throw on a pot of tea?
Yeah, they're English. They even say so. That's what we do is we put a kettle on and have some tea.
Ponder on this.
Yes, yeah, even go to sleep because they do. They end up taking a nap for a little while.
A nice nap.
Yeah. Even though that
a nice safe nap.
A nice safe nap, yes. And they find out when they get back to the house that Herbert's mother has already left. She's evacuated the area.
Yeah, she went to the uncle's house in Leatherhead.
Yes, in Leatherhead, yes. And so, that's probably a red flag right there that you just be like, all right, well, I guess we'll just have a little nap and see what happens. Maybe they needed to charge their GPS again.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out, how does your mom just leave you when there's imminent danger?
Right. Like,
and you and your orphaned friends.
Yeah. That she's apparently known for since they were kids because they all seem to have that sort of like at least childhood friendship thing going on.
She started watching them. She said to hell with them all.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I didn't cook these flat pancakes for nothing.
Right. Your parents leave you over here too much.
Yeah. I mean, Augie's parents are in like on a volcanic island, resort island, so they're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're at the house, they're hanging out, kind of just wasting time. Well, no, what they're really doing is they're waiting for Benjamin Baxter to show up,
Yeah.
who is a corporal in the army, who was hiding in their garden because he needed a place to hide.
Because he's so brave.
Yeah. And so the kids let him in. And then they proceed to hang out inside the house for like, I'd say, like probably
2-3 hours.
Few hours, right? Like they
Yeah.
let him clean up, they let them rest, they ate, they
Yeah.
kind of talked about stuff. And then Ben Baxter says, "You have done a kindness to me and I owe you everything. So I'm going to do everything to help you get to your mother for no reason."
You've done a kindness for me.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the olden days where I will help you travel across the Great
Yes.
Plains.
My honor beseeches me that I must now owe you a debt.
Right.
Yeah. So he decides that he's going to link up with his military contacts and he's going to find out what's going on. And they have this idea that everybody is moving to London, right?
Yeah. I believe that's the original consensus, is that's where everybody is headed. They are headed to London. Yeah.
Right. Because when he talks on the walkie-talkie, he talks very casually to a guy named Fred, who's also in a military, and he's at one of the bases, I guess they're trying to get to.
Him and Fred was about an hour walking distance apart the whole time.
Yeah, they really were. And Fred answers his walkie-talkie like, "Hey, this is Fred," not like, "This is Corporal last name," or "This is Sergeant last name," like you're supposed to.
There were no military consults on this for sure.
"Hi, this is Fred here."
Radio for Fred, yeah.
Yeah. So they realize that they need to get to this evacuation area because the military is getting all of sort of the rural people and they're moving them to London, because the idea is that there's an underground system, the subways and the sewers. It's safer. Yeah. And people will not be as exposed as they are in the countryside.
Right.
So they get to the military waypoint. Oh, they had a bike for Ben too. So they all ride their bikes there. Again, nobody has a car. Yeah. So it'd be much easier if somebody had a car.
Fourth bike for Ben. I'm still not sure where that came from.
Yes, they had a bike for him, so that was nice. They all rode. I was hoping that maybe he would stand on the pegs of one of their bikes, or sit on the handlebars. Yeah, exactly. Sit on the handlebars. So they get to the rendezvous point for the military, and again, Ben says, "You took me in and you gave me food and you let me wash my face, so I owe you. I'm going to set you guys up with your own private boat." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." So they're going to take the river down to London, and that's going to be the most efficient way. I'm like, "Oh, military's there. They're going to get like a speedboat. It's going to be really cool."
Nope.
It's a fucking rowboat.
Yep.
It was a rowboat. Why
it was the kind of rowboat that you can use to get across maybe about a 30-yard lake.
With a lot of effort. And you better hope that there's no chop on that lake, because you're going to be working out.
You're going to be going downstream. That's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, I got you guys this boat. It's really great." And they all look at it, but the camera doesn't look at it. And they were like, "Oh, that's really nice. Thanks so much." So again, in my head, I'm like, "Oh, cool. They got like one of those inflatable speedboats, like the military has."
I want to know what kind of boat he was in. What was Ben traveling in?
He was probably in one of those military speedboats. Because it's literally a rowboat with 2 oars. And originally, when they had sat down, I was like, "Oh, you can't do that," because they made Augie the rower at first. Yeah. And thank God the tripod came, because they were about to commit an atrocity.
It was gonna become too English, huh?
It was gonna become way too British. Turn into Amistad for some reason. I don't know. Damn. So they're sitting in the rowboat waiting for Benjamin Baxter. He's supposed to join them in the boat. So I guess maybe since he's more able-bodied, would have rowed them. But of course, the tripods show up at the rendezvous point and start blasting.
Pause.
And we see that the helicopters, there was a whole bunch of Blackhawks that came, and they started shooting or they were Apaches, I think. They started shooting the tripods and actually killed one of the tripods.
Took one out, yeah.
Yeah. But then 3 more showed up.
All right, that's a lot of ammunition to take one out.
Yes. There were said that they took several missile strikes from like 4 helicopters to take one of them out. And I guess we find out that they have some sort of force field that's hard to penetrate.
Yeah, I figured that's all it was. They had to overpower it.
Yes. And this is where the movie takes a very weird turn because the kids have to run away. They abandon Benjamin Baxter, Corporal Baxter, and they run off into the woods. And they're like, trying to escape. It's getting dark. They're on foot again, which is probably okay because they're in the forest and it's not going to be as easy for them to be seen. I feel like if you were on a rowboat on the river, that would have been you've been like a sitting duck.
Right. I mean, I assumed they could see infrared, so
I did too. So I'm not sure. You would think that maybe they could see you would think that they would, but we got Big Mike here. What up, Big Mike?
What up, Big Mike?
Good to see you, man. And come back. We're gonna need your banter soon.
I think the new word is Ritter.
Yes, we're gonna need some of that Big Mike sarcasm soon. So come back soon, man. So they're in the woods and it's getting to be nightfall, and they see just sitting in the middle of the woods a priest, as you do.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No,
not in this type of movie. That's I thought we were watching The Pope's Exorcist again for a second. I was like, what's going on here? But this definitely took a turn into the more like I would think like what they were trying to do is more like The Last of Us, like the post-apocalyptic. The humans are the real enemy now that the world has only been attacked for like, I don't know, a few hours. But everything is dilapidated. It's over. So this priest is sitting creepily in the woods at nighttime, and they come across him and they're like, "Oh, what's going on, Padre?" And he's just staring off into the distance. And and he's having an existential moment, I guess, because he is trying to figure out what God wants from him. And
I'm really quick. I'm sorry. I don't think his God was our God anymore. I think his God was now the aliens.
It was either the aliens or some like archaic god that required sacrifice, because he was definitely not plugged into the Judeo-Christian God at that point. Right. But he is very menacing and he's calling them sinners, but he's also like, I can help you though. Here, let me help you. I point you in the direction and there should be a house over there with food and safety. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. And then he's like, oh, no worries about it. I'm going to follow you. Because I was just sitting in the woods for no reason, but now that you're here, I'm going to follow you guys. Because...
No, please.
Right. That should have been the first red flag, to be honest. Like, no, you can sit back in the woods. We'll keep our distance. How about that?
I'll follow you. No, you won't.
No, you won't. And he's like, no, I want to help you guys. It's my charge. God has charged me to help. And nobody's taken the bait except for the actors at this point. The 3 kids are. Yeah. So they get to this house. It's like dark. It's abandoned because, again, the world has been under attack for about 5 hours now. So everything has fallen into disrepair. And then the priest takes an incredible heel turn, where they're gathering up all the food in the kitchen, and the Augie, the black guy, tries to take some of the food from him, and he says, "Don't touch my food with your hands."
Your damn dirty hands. And I was like, oh, I know what he means.
He gets super racist very quickly. Like,
he didn't say nothing to nobody else.
Nobody else. He didn't say anything to the other characters. It was just the black guy who trying to take a couple chips or something like that, that they pilfered from this house. And he's like, this is my food.
The crazy thing is, there was no even proof that he was trying to take it. It looked like he was trying to see what it was. Trying to see what you got over here, player.
Yeah. Big Mike says, don't touch my uncut bread. Exactly. Right. There's just a whole ass loaf of bread on the table, too. Yeah.
Right.
That's so good. So this is where the priest takes a heel turn. He gets a steak knife. And now he's like,
I was more sinners. Of a butter knife. Maybe a pear knife.
It wasn't a. I mean, it's Britain, so you're not allowed to have a gun. So that's the most
True.
threatening thing they can do is bring out a steak knife.
Have a
Um,
handmade paring knife.
yes, exactly. And so he's like holding them at knife point at the kitchen table, and they're these like, you know, don't take my food. You guys are sinners. You're unworthy. And then they all sit down and have a meal and have a chat.
Because
And
he was so much stronger than them, and he was able to knock Herbert down and press the knife to Herbert's neck, and Herbert was crying, "Please don't kill me." And I'm like, I'm pretty sure y'all stronger than him.
I'm pretty sure he's like 60 years old, and you guys could have just run out of the house because he doesn't look like he can run.
60-year-olds nowadays are kind of strong, but I was
That's
thinking
true.
the three of them could have got him up off of Herbert and got out of there.
Yes, but they don't. They sit at the table, and then we go on this. The priest goes on this whole dark monologue about how he had lost his faith in God when he lost his wife, and then he lost his daughter, and then the aliens came and he lost his son.
And at no point did he realize he had lost his mind.
True, exactly. He never says that he lost his mind because he definitely has. And so he's like going through this dark turn, and he's like, talking to, like, oh God, what do you want me to do? And he looks at the girl, and he's like, you need to eat, woman. You're the weaker sex.
You are the inferior sex. And when this is all over, I will impregnate you with my seed, but not these two. What do you call them?
Oh, yeah. He said troglodytes.
Troglodytes.
Yes.
Not these two troglodytes.
They're inferior seed. God has told me that we're going to need to repopulate. So you,
Sir,
woman,
she is barely 19, 20.
I know. They're vacillating between 15 and 25 years old. So I don't know where they are, but it's definitely too young for you to be like talking like that.
I plant my seed in you when this is all over, gal.
Yeah. I got Game of Thrones real fast, man. I was like, what is going on?
That guy, don't sit on your uncle lap.
Yeah.
It's a terrible
so
world.
He's being disgusting and gross and creepy to the girl because he's going to save her so that he can populate the earth with her. But then, as any bad guy does, he decides that he needs a nap. And so he tells the people, he tells the kids, I'm going to go take a nap, and I don't want you guys to get near me or bother me. Deal.
Don't leave. Don't make no noise.
He didn't even say don't leave. He did not even say don't leave. He just said, I don't want you coming close, and I don't want you bothering me. I was like, oh, deal. Cool, bet. We're out of here as soon as you close your eyes, bro.
They sat there bundled up in a corner next to each other, irritating my life.
Mike says nobody thought to smash him with the chair. Nope. Nobody thought to smash him with the chair. And he said it clouded him. The only one thing at the age seemed off somehow. Yeah, it was very strange.
Super.
Yeah. Again, these kids are between 15 and 25. They're both 15 and 25, to be honest.
At the same time. Yeah.
At the same time. Yeah. So yeah, they don't leave when the psychopath priest goes to take a nap. They go sit in the living room with him.
They watch him as he sleeps peacefully. There's nothing else to say about that.
I mean, like incredible. That's an incredible idea. Not since The River Wild has a terrible decision been made like that.
Right. I just thought it was crazy. They sat there and watched him. But I thought it was interesting how it ends with him. They get up, they're looking out the window, they realize that one of the tripods is close. He wakes up. I told you don't move. I get you, boy. I'm gonna get. And next thing you know, here come the tripod arm right through the window. Like,
yep.
But
snatched him up.
What world you were in?
Well, they had to be there to witness him get ganked by the tripod. So
yeah, so he didn't. So now we know he ain't coming for him, I guess.
Right. Mike
and then the military started attacking the tripod when it was on the search for them.
Right. So that part made me especially mad. How are you going to sit there and not leave or smash him with a chair? Yeah, of course. It's kind of like, again, The River Wild, where they have the bad guy drowning in the river and there's a gun 5 feet away, and they decide to run away and not use the gun. Go check out that episode if you want to hear a fun conversation. So yeah, the tripod, it kills the priest and then kind of looks for them, but then the military starts attacking the tripod, so they're able to escape again.
Right. and then they remember they have a chair that the radio, because they didn't use that the whole time.
Yes,
and then they link back
yes.
up with Ben, or they're
Yes.
going to link back up with Ben.
Yes, Benjamin Baxter, he survived, and he's been radioing them. These 3 kids that mean nothing to the military and nothing to anybody else. He's been radioing them all day, trying to look for them. Because again, they let him come in and wash his face, and they gave him a spot of tea, and so his life is in debt to them.
Right. Look, this movie is so bad. We're talking about it, and I just yawned mid-episode.
I know. It made you tired, huh?
Yeah. This shit is depressingly boring.
Yeah, it's not that great. It's only good for a laugh if you're okay with watching a terrible movie. If you're not, this would upset you deeply. Yeah. So they finally meet back up with Benjamin Baxter, who in the span of, I'd say, 10 hours has made himself a makeshift fort in the forest for some reason by himself.
He has all these military friends, but only he survived.
And a radio.
He's a great Benjamin Baxter.
Right. Yes. But he's the only one that survived. He has all the rations with him too. He's cutting open a trout because it's been a whole 11 hours since he's probably last eaten, or is that at their house anyways when they fed him. So he's got to eat, and he's got a pistol, and that's fun.
He ripped out the guts of the fish, no bones, just guts.
And didn't even do a good job at that because he didn't take out the spine of the fish, or
that's what.
Yeah.
Didn't run no water through it to make sure it was cleaned out properly. Hey, you hungry?
Oh, that trout has worms for sure.
Look, you hungry?
Definitely has worms.
No, big dog.
Oh, we're cool. Again, it's only been 11 hours since the world was fine, so I think I'll be okay. I don't need your wormy river fish.
You wormy river fish.
Mike says he only survived for a second time. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
2-time survivor.
Yeah, he's very good at running away.
Easily. That's easily what's going on here. I was actually expecting to find out he was in cahoots with the aliens, but that never came up.
I mean, kind of towards the end,
True.
Yeah.
So Herbert is the only person. No, excuse me. Herbert wants to go to London, and nobody else wants to, but then they all agree to go because of him. I think it's the dumbest idea, but he goes anyway, only for them to find out that nothing there. This is after they were told, to go the opposite way of London. But they want to go fight because they can help.
Yes.
How?
Mike says Ben must be French. Hey, there you go. Always waving that white flag. Yes. So they're against all logic. They decide that they have to go to London because Herbert is really dead set on his mom being there, even though there's no evidence that she was there anyways. And they want to take the fight to the tripods, as if the 3 of them could do anything. And Ben only has a pistol, so I don't know what they're planning on doing.
Not even a grenade.
Not even a grenade. Well, he has got 1 grenade actually. Funny enough,
he does have 1 grenade. You're right.
It's hilarious. First thing that made me laugh in this movie is that the soldier that's next to the doctor, the professor, he has 4 grenades across his chest connected to his vest. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, man, all it takes is for one of those pins to fall out, and then you're scrambling trying to figure out which pin it is. You're done. You just turn into a human pinata.
All of the world's authority on this situation is dead right there.
Yeah. So they get to London, and London is overrun by tripods. There's probably about 6 tripods. They're all pew-pewing everything. I think Big Ben is getting pew-pewed, all of Parliament. And everything is going super crazy. Everything looks lost. It's a wrap. And they're kind of reconning on the outskirts of London. And Augie is trying to use the stupid radio again, even though they didn't need the radio ever. They just needed the walkie-talkie. Yeah. But during the recon, Augie gets grabbed by one of the tripods, and he's in trouble now.
Yeah,
because
him and Ben weren't really talking to begin with, but they had to work together.
Yes, but what we're finding out also is that now that the movie decided that it needs to happen this way, the humans are being harvested as nutrients for the eggs
Yes,
that the tripods are laying, even
which
though they're
actually kind of makes sense.
does it I don't understand the idea of like biomechanical beings
Yeah,
because
it gives them the because they're biomechanical because that's how they had to survive on their planet, and then their planet was dying. That's why they come here.
right,
That's what most of these scenarios are.
right.
So the reason they're harvesting the humans is to use the human DNA so that they can acclimate to the environment, which
Mm,
is why the
mm.
end makes sense.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Very good. I like that you're connecting dots that they didn't bother putting together.
Not at all. They didn't bother to tell you anything. They figured, oh, you
No.
figure it out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But Augie gets captured by one of the tripods, and this is bad because now Ben has again, they let him into the house to wash his face and they gave him some tea, so he owes them his life.
Mm, mm,
And so he runs valiantly towards the tripod with his
right.
tiny little 9mm pistol. And he puts a few to the back of the head of the tripod as it's walking away with Augie, and of course it does nothing. So it grabs Ben, and he realizes, oh, I have a grenade in my vest. So let me take out the grenade and hug it. And thankfully, he was grabbed by a tentacle that was on the other side of where Augie was
Yep.
grabbed.
I thought the
Because
same thing.
if they were close, that would have been blown up for everybody. But he kamikazes himself against the tripod, and it blows up and drops Augie to the ground. Thankfully, he's okay. The other kids, Hannah and Herb, grab him and take him away, and they start to run. And they decide they have to go underground now. If they got to get into the sewers.
What Ben thought was a good idea.
Yes, yes. Mike says, "Cue the Armageddon music." Yes,
I
yes.
don't want to close my
Just
eyes.
Bruce Willis sitting there with the button. Yeah, so they go into the sewer because there's the only safe place. Again, the entirety of London is overrun by these tripods, and they realize that all is lost and that they don't know what they're going to do now because they're in the sewer. And they're like, all right, well, I know what we're going to do. It's been what we've been doing for the past few hours, which is take a nap. They decide to go to sleep. They go to sleep in the sewer. That's their answer to everything. Just fall asleep for a while, and the movie will sort it out when you wake up.
Yeah,
Because that's exactly what happens. They wake up in the morning, and they get out of the sewers, and they're looking around. They're like, "What's going on? We don't hear anything anymore.
everything's quiet."
Everything's super quiet." They're like they're looking. They go into the forest again. Somehow they're in the forest again. I don't know how that happened. But then they start to see fallen tripods, and they're like, "What's going on? Are they playing dead?" And so,
I didn't get that theory either. Like,
Augie throws some rocks at it just to make sure that it's actually dead. And they are indeed dead, and it's incredible because they get to this field where there are a couple of dead tripods, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, they're dead!" And then out of nowhere, the professor shows up right behind them with the military. and says to you guys, "Hey guys, great news!" All Futurama.
right.
Great news, everybody. The Martians are dead. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, did the military kill them? How did that happen?" No, actually,
I'm glad
yeah.
you asked. You know how that happened?
Plot. Yes, that's exactly how it happened. They're like, no, actually, it wasn't the military. We didn't have to do anything, to be honest. What happened was that the bacteria that's native to our planet killed them.
They was weak.
And that's it. They're all dead.
Close my eyes. Oh, Mike said it.
Yep. Oh, yes. It's always rabies. You're right. They got rabies. They got
Earth rabies. Got them this time.
Earth rabies.
Earth rabies killed the aliens.
That is the resolution to the movie. The bacteria that's native to Earth infected the Martian tripods, and they all died.
Yeah, because plot. What are our 3 hot points? Rabies, plot, and what else?
Rabies, plot, and shoot, I forgot the third one. I'm gonna have to go watch that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, because yeah, it's always one of those three things. So and the kids celebrate. Literally, they're celebrating, and Augie makes a joke. Says, "You mean to tell me my armpits are more dangerous than
Right.
a whole army of Martians?"
Best joke of the whole movie. Worst joke of the whole movie.
And everybody's like, "Yeah, your armpits are terrible, Augie," and they all laugh and they
Oh.
hug each other. And
It was even terrible for like off-brand comedy, like a sitcom.
I mean, like really the capper to it should have them to doing like jumping and doing a triple high five and freezing in midair. Like that would have been that's the attitude the end of this movie takes.
1,000%.
Yeah, so then we get this sort of like little monologue at the end about how it was the tiniest creatures on Earth that killed these giant tripods, and it goes into the field, and there's a field of dead eggs of the tripods, and then we see,
but are they dead?
Are they dead? Boom! And then the tentacles come out of the egg, and the movie is over.
And you know what I thought to myself when it ended? I was like, if this were an Indian industry film from that side of the world, that would have just been part one of a 3-part movie.
Of a 3-hour movie. Yes, exactly. And then you would have been thinking to yourself, oh my God, how did we even get here? And then it would have been 3 hours later, and you're like, oh my God, that all makes sense.
Yep. Yep. And that's how long they would have needed to wrap that shit up. Because boy, oh boy.
Yep. See. Yeah, it was that bad. Man, that's it. That's the end of the movie.
That's it. There's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to add. I would love to, there's that one dance scene, but again, it wasn't an ending. So I really just dropped my whole setup over here.
Oh, that's all right. We're almost done anyway. So there you go. Geez, man. Well, do you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
2 seconds. I'm almost there. We go.
There you go.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those movies where I actually wanted to talk a little more about it, but there's not much to talk about because it's so dry. Like, I don't think we haven't covered anything this dry in a while. We've covered some bad shit in 2023. Yeah, there's not really a lot to add to this. It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Nothing is really executed well. The only things that are likable is the fact that it has an end time.
Honestly, I think. Go ahead.
Well, and again, to me, it's kind of like when you hear a mixtape or something, like a music album, and it just sounds like people were having fun. That's all you get from this. Is at least it seems like they had fun shooting it.
I guess. Honestly, I think we squeezed all the comedy out of it with our commentary. So
there was comedy.
I mean, comedy in the fact that it was awful.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, we created the comedy for it,
right?
Baby.
Yeah. Yeah, man. All right. Well, do you have? What do you want to rate this?
1
masterpiece. 1.
This is a 1. Yeah. I have nothing really to add to it. The scenes were dark unnecessarily, and I understand they were trying to make it as if the aliens blocked out the sun and now the world's just terrible. But that was a very bad cinematic decision. Kind of like me deciding to put my hand over my face a minute ago to scratch the other side of my head instead of going under. Bad decision. Those things happen. They do. But well, I guess that and what I just did is on film. So now we both got something to hold over our heads.
So but, 1 from you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, if this movie came out in the 80s, it would have been immaculate.
Honestly, if it had a little bit more camp, I would have probably rated it better.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's actually a fair point.
If they leaned into like how dumb it was, I would have been probably like, all right, I can get with it.
Yeah, if they had added some real comedy, like, hey, we know how stupid this is, then I probably would have been there for it.
Yeah, same. I think I'm there with you about this. I'm going to say it's a 1 for me as well.
Indeed.
There just isn't a whole lot for it to be enjoyable. I think the most entertainment you get is sort of having a conversation about how dumb it is. The special effects aren't terrible, but they're also like you could tell the frame rate drops like dramatically anytime the special, it's like almost like a video game anytime the special effects happen. So They were not using their best equipment, that's for sure. And we got Mike's. Mike says shaky cam, bad audio, bad special effects from the 90s, bad lighting parts too. Yeah. And he says bad acting, bad plot points, and character development. There is no character development.
There's
absolutely none. But yes, I agree with you on that one, man. Yeah, I'm going to go with a 1. Keelan's going with a 1. Mike's being a bit more generous, probably just because he's feeling it today.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's going with the 2. So, I mean, like, that's it, man. That's all we got.
I mean, but hey, by all means, as we say all the time, go ahead, check it out. Let us know what you guys think of it. It is a high probability that we are wrong. And the only way for us to know that we are wrong is for you to go ahead and give us your opinion and your review of what we just did. As you see, every time I tell you how much I really feel about this movie, my setup just kind of falls into.
He can't contain his anger. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, maybe somebody else. I would love to know what other people think of this. As I do for most of our reviews, I'm usually pretty interested in how other people feel about it. But I'll stand on what I say. If you watch this movie and you haven't seen it, you are going to be unpleasantly surprised at how bad this is. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in with us this evening. Big shout out to Big Mike. Thanks for giving us all of your feedback, man. Looking forward to having you back with us next week. He'll be back to join us next week. He's just on a little bit of a vacay right now. So thanks a lot for commenting, bro. We appreciate you. And thank you all for checking us out, checking in with us this evening. We have a podcast, or a collection of podcasts, if you'd like to check out as well. These are a list of things that we do all together. We have archives of lots of episodes. Big Mike streams on Twitch at king_of_Ilion. You can also check out Dijon at Starbeers and Coffee on Twitch. We also have If Numbers Could Talk on Facebook and YouTube. Screen Time Continuum, of course. Exofathom, Facebook, YouTube, and This Married Moment on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. So check those out if you want to get more of our opinions and our thoughts. If you haven't gotten enough from us already, there's a lot of episodes there. And we're at 229 episodes here as well, and at 225 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing out there. We really appreciate all of you. It means the world to us. Again, we're just a podcast that likes to talk about movies and TV shows, so we are very thrilled that you enjoy. Please consider giving us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so if you feel so inclined, and leave a comment if you want to let us know what you thought about this movie. I think that's going to be it for us for tonight. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
I am Keelan.
Good night.
Have a good one, guys. And remember, watching bad movies isn't bad. Just be honest about them.
It's always fun with good company.